I can't believe it. In the past 2 months, I've played and reviewed not one, but 2 horror games. One is way too many for me personally, just saying. But that's not the surprising part. It's the fact that both have been accessible. Today, let's head to the USG Ishimura and find out if Dead Space Remake is an accessible hit or if it's an unplayable monster. Hi, I'm Steve Saylor, an accessibility advocate and consultant in the video game industry, and I'm also blind. If you're wondering how I can play video games if I'm blind, click here or in the link in the description down below to see exactly what I see when I'm playing video games. Also, while you're down there, click the like and subscribe button. It would really help out this channel. First off, let's get started with I have not played the original Dead Space games. So my review is solely based on just the remake only. Second, again, I don't play horror games, although the number of times I've said that in recent videos, I may need to change that statement, but take what I say as sort of like a grain of salt, but coming at it from an accessibility angle, because that's what I usually do when I come to these games, but I come into it with an open mind. At least I did with this game. The best way I can describe the accessibility of Dead Space Remake is that it in no way is fully accessible to all disabilities. Not in the way we know or have seen in other games, but it is so dang close in many areas that it's about 70% there. The main thing is you can see the intention was there from the beginning, and a lot of the redesign of this game as they rebuilt it to make this an accessible experience. EA Motive got a lot right, but just missed in areas where I wish they had extra time and resources to get as much of that 30% that's missing. Let's talk examples. First off, deaf and hard of hearing. The subtitles in this are fantastic. They have speaker tag color, and large font sizes with a default size of 31 pixels. You know how hard it is to get a game with a default size of 31 pixels? That's almost unheard of now. But you can make it bigger or smaller, and you can even go as high as 100 pixels. It is large. You can also set the subtitles to all caps if you need it, or even change from white text on a black background to black text on a white background. You can even set the opacity of that background too. But there are no full captions for any of the scary sound effects, and there are some disturbing sound effects too, including one with a baby that freaked me the heck out until I found out it was a toy doll. That scared the crap out of me. But you also don't hear in the game any visual indicators of any enemy that is attacking you off screen. That may be intentional as it ups the scary factor, but it's also hard to find that right balance in a horror game because you want to keep the game scary, but also it is still vital information that a deaf or hard of hearing player needs to keep playing without dying, especially if you play on a higher difficulty. But like I said, it's just almost there, but not quite. Another example, actually, this one's a big one, is for blind low vision players. The UI is large, which I love, and apparently is exactly as it was when the original game, so I'm appreciative of the fact that they kept that in here. But also as well, in some of the UI, the fonts are not as large. The inventory menu descriptions and text logs are still small and hard to read. There is an honest-to-goodness working screen reader in an EA game that's not just for menus, but in-game as well. It even reads the in-game interfaces as well, such as when you're interacting with a terminal, a door, or even items you can pick up.
This is free charge. Meal item. Map. Missions. Open.
But it doesn't read everything, just the headings and the menus, and not all of the descriptions. It also doesn't read the in-game tutorial menus that pop up telling you what the controls are, including for how to use weapons as you pick up along the way, which is crucial in learning how to do combat and accomplish the tasks needed throughout the entire game. It has navigational assistance beacon that highlights a path to where you're supposed to go, and even with an option can turn the camera towards that direction, which is great, but there's enough help there, but misses in some of the key areas to help the player move forward. No better example for all of this than in the first room where you get your first weapon. You have to go and shoot a junction box to open a door. The path tells you to go to the door, but doesn't tell you anything about getting to the workbench to pick up the weapon. There are audio cues that can tell you where you are in a room, but it doesn't give you enough information audibly to tell you what you need to accomplish in that room to move forward. It does not narrate the pop-up that tells you how to use that weapon. It doesn't give any audible information within the environment to tell you you need to shoot that junction in order for the door to open. Not to say that the game needs to handhold you, but it just goes to show that there are stuff that's in the game that helps, but it doesn't fully hit in every single area. The game also has aim assist and aim assist friction with the ability to adjust the magnetism of that aim assist. However, I was having trouble telling it if it works or not. The magnetism doesn't have that snappiness that other games have. It also doesn't really aim towards an enemy's limbs as it tells you to do. It just aims for the center body mass, which does work, but only after quite a few bullets. And it also doesn't snap to the next enemy when you have killed one either. So again, the blind accessibility is good, but not fully there to make it a fully accessible game. Now, to move on, in other areas where Dead Space actually did really well and meet that extra 30% was in regards to motor disabilities. You can fully remap controls both on console and on PC. You can set multiple buttons to the same action on PC, as long as they don't conflict with other assigned buttons. You can set the sensitivity to the camera and movement, trigger sensitivity, and more. I have heard from my fellow reviewer, Grant Stoner, that he wished the sensitivity could be slightly higher, but overall he did enjoy what he was able to play. Also mention you should actually follow Grant on Twitter, as his review is coming soon, so you can read his full expanded thoughts once his review is live. I'll leave a link in the description to his Twitter down below. Another area where Dead Space did really well was in its content warnings. Dead Space is a very violent and gory game, not only in just the combat and how the many ways you as Isaac can get mutilated after every death, but there are a lot of different types of violence, from self-harm to body mutilation and so on. What Dead Space does is not only provide an option to enable where you can get a notification as to when an upcoming scene or video log has that type of content, but you can even turn on another option that will hide those disturbing scenes by either blurring them out or setting a black screen when you die, or even just pop up a content hidden message when watching a video log. Content warnings aren't new in games, especially in the horror genre, but the hiding of disturbing content, I don't think I've seen that before. Now you may be wondering, what does that have to do with disabled players? Well, it's as varied a question as you can ask, and I'm not honestly the best person to go into full detail about it. However, from my limited understanding, this helps those who are neurodivergent and people with PTSD for whom the specific content in this game might trigger a neurological response that would physically prevent them from progressing forward in a game. The content warnings don't take away the fear of the game and a sense of danger that could be around every corner or being alone in a spaceship with monsters. But the content warnings is the developers recognizing that not everyone is the same and that a disability is a spectrum, so even those who are neurodivergent or have PTSD may need some help along the way so they can still enjoy the game. So I think it's a great option, and I actually personally use it myself, even if I don't physically need it. It's just good to know, hey, there's something that's coming up, so be prepared for it. Overall, I did not expect to enjoy Dead Space as much as I did. This is further proof as to why remakes are important to the disabled community when accessibility is taken into part of the redesign. Remakes can capture the feel of the original, but modernize it enough to make it finally playable to an audience who couldn't play it before. Is it the perfect accessible experience we want for Dead Space? No, but it has a lot there that should be celebrated, and the team did a great job. I think if EA Motive wanted to support this further with accessibility updates, it could fill that last bit of the disability spectrums it's missing. I give Dead Space Remake for accessibility a 3 markers out of 5. Thanks so much for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and while you're down there, click the subscribe button. It'll really help keep this channel growing. I'll see you in the next video. I'm proud of you, and as always, I remain obediently yours. Bye.